everyone, Anindya Chatterjee. You've seen me in films like Chotushkone, Bela Seshe, that was there. But every morning when I wake up, when I go to the washroom, when I look in front of the mirror, I don't see myself as an actor. I see myself as a recovering addict who struggles every day with his own demons to stay clean one day. So I'll tell you a little bit of my growing up years. I grew up in a typical North Calcutta neighborhood. Everything was fine. I'm not from a dysfunctional family. Everything was great. While I was growing up, everything was great. But there was this intense discomfort within my own skin. Later I realized what it was, but at that point of time, I was thinking something is not right. Something is not right. I mean, my parents told me, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I mean, when you go out of the lane, there is this big, busy road. They told me, never cross that road. You need someone senior to you would like help you to cross the road. So I was like, okay. They told me not to cross the road. I was born in a trait. My traits were like, I have to cross the road. They told me not to lie. I was like, okay, I was getting high. While like white lies. I mean, like my mom gave me 10 rupees for school tiffin. I would use it elsewhere and say a random lie. And I started getting highs from there. I was 15 and a half, just after my class 10. I got introduced to drugs. And it started out alcohol, we call it the gateway drug. Alcohol came into the picture. Within 6 months, there are this stuff. The herbals, then came the heavy chemicals. I was a street heroin junkie. Probably we call it brown sugar. When I started, we never used to get heroin. We got brown sugar, and within 7 months, 8 months of heroin use, I was done. I was preparing for my class 12. In my time, we had to prepare like 2 exams in one day. First exam got over, I went to the washroom, I used. I was a heavy injecting drug user. It's been 11 years, I still have my marks in here. After class 12, I was just losing it. I was losing the plot. Every day I used to think, okay, today is the last day I'm going to use. From tomorrow onwards, I'm not going to use. I was lying to myself. I was lying to my parents, left, right, and center. I was lying to my society, left, right, and center. And I was in a complete disbelief that drug is controlling my life in every aspect of my life. I became a criminal. Criminal activities got into the picture because I had to support my drug using. I sold off my mom's ornaments, dad's wallets, money's been whacked away. These are the things comes with the addiction. I mean, it's not only Calcutta. I've been traveling around the globe. It's the same everywhere. When I was not getting any resources from my family, I started stealing things from outside. I'm talking about 2004, 3, 4. Cable TV was everyone's got cable TV by that time. From my terrace, I was a lone user. I was doing my drugs in my roof, and suddenly I realized there's this antennas. Remember DD1, DD2? It used to come in. You have to use those antennas. That was made out of aluminum. So one fine day, I thought like everyone's got cable TV now. Everyone's got like 70 channels in one cable. What's the use of antennas? But that was there. In my neighborhood where I grew up, you can literally cross roof just like that. A 3 feet distance from one roof to another roof. So it took me 3 days where my house was located. Within 200 meters radius, all the antennas were gone. That was that. Then I started doing like a lot of, I started hanging out with the boys from the other side of the street, and I had to use, and I was using drugs. By the time 2006-7, I was living my life on the street. There was heavily police cases against me. I was whacking mobiles, snatching gold ornaments in a scooter. I was doing all of that. 2006, I realized after maybe 15, 16 rehabs detox, I was in and out of the rehab several times. I was a chronic relapsee. My primary uh, choice of drug was heroin, brown sugar, but I was getting over-the-counter drugs, over-the-counter uh, pills, hash, any mood-altering substance that I could get my highs on. The problem was why drugs and any you they are chewing tobaccos, cigarettes, these are the things why I differentiate it's a mood altering substance between a non mood altering substance. Like if I smoke, that does not alter my mood. But if I'm drinking, if I'm happy, if I have two bottle of any alcohol, that would either aggravate my mood, that would make me happier, or if I'm sad, that would aggravate my mood to become more sadder. With cigarettes or chewing tobacco, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with coffee. It doesn't happen with books. It becomes a problem when you miss out on your priorities. I was missing out on my priorities. My body was heavily dependent on drugs. Just to wake up, uh, live a normal life, talk to my parents, do normal things, I had to use. I was not getting high. Last 3 years, I didn't get high. My body was so tolerant to drugs, I wasn't getting high. I was in and out of the rehab, in and out of the jails. I was completely hopeless. I had no strength. I had no intention. But all I knew by the age of 27, they call it the Club 27 Club. All I knew, I was born to use. I would use drugs and die. But primarily, there was this intense fear that was killing me from inside. I'm done. There is no future. When I was walking on the street, people were like, okay, there's this junkie going. If I'm at a wedding reception, everybody was cautious that something is gonna this guy is going to steal something. I know when I'm saying all this, these are my life experience that I've experienced in my life. I can bet there are 100 people out here. We don't talk about addiction. It's an issue that we don't want to talk about. We would watch porn on our phones, but we don't talk about it. There is huge stigma around sex, porn, drug abuse, all that things. I know 5 people at least, they would have seen addiction pretty closely. If my father is an alcoholic, comes home every day, drinks every day, and there is a marriage reception coming in, the family would discuss, okay, what do I do with this guy? What do I say to my family members? If I have a brother who's a drug addict or an alcoholic, we would try to hide it from the society. And that's where the problem lies. Because we don't talk about it. It's a problem, it's a disease. WHO has certified addiction is a disease. And primarily when I look in front of the mirror, I see an addict who's still struggling. Life has been tough. Living life on the streets has been really tough. I mean, there was this railway station where I was staying for 27 days at a stretch without taking a bath for 15 days, without brushing my teeth for 20 days. Probably there would families, they would go to Darjeeling with their luggages, and I used to whack one or two luggages for 50, 60 rupees. I was in and out of the lockup, jails and everything. They were like, this guy is becoming a menace to the society. We'll pull him in for 6 months non-billable offense. I was like, okay, 6 months I can't use. There was this problem. I'm using, I'm not getting high. And there is this intense fear of future, that what do I do with my life? What do I do with it? Do I just hang myself? There was this intense suicidal thoughts, or getting OD'd on drugs. There was this, and then come to a point, I saw a bunch of people in Calcutta who are clean and sober. And every day they meet in the evening for a formal meeting 7 to 8, and they are helping each other to stay clean. They're sharing their stories, their experiences, and helping each other to stay clean. I was still using at that point of time. I was meeting them. I was I was a bit skeptical whether I just go ahead and surrender. But then there was this intense urge of using again. I was a chronic relapsee. 4 hours without getting high, without any mood altering substance, was the hardest choice I could make at that point of time. I had this intense obsession to just to use drugs as much as I can. Beg, borrow, steal, whatever, come what may, I would use. There has not been, I started in the year 2000. The downward spiral happened in 2001. By 2001, I was just going down in the drains. I don't remember any single day without forceful, either inside a rehab. I was staying clean because I don't get to use drugs inside a rehab. First 3 days was excruciating pain. It's like 100 ants running through your musculoskeletal body, and excruciating. I wouldn't want that to my biggest enemy. That kind of pain. I had to use. My body was so heavily dependent on drugs, I had to use. If I'm inside a rehab, I'm not using. The moment I'm coming out of it, that very day I had to use. This vicious cycle ran for 7 years. Within 7 years, I could see I'm losing my consciousness, I'm losing my shit. Either I could see a long-term jail sentence, either I would land up at a mental institution, or I would die. There are three endings to any addict who's using, still suffering addicts. There are three things that addiction would lead to: either death, premature death, either mental institutions, or jails. So I was skeptical. What do I do with my life? I was hopeless. I still remember 18 January 2008. On this very day, a huge ruckus happened in my life. A big police case. I was supposed to appear before the court around 27 Jan. I checked myself into a rehab outside Calcutta without the intentions of being sober and get clean. But something happened. One day outside, without any help, I stayed clean and went inside. I was on a parole from the rehab. I went inside the rehab a day clean. And that day changed my life. From that day I started gaining hope, started gaining strength that things can change. Things can change. When I started everyday struggle of being outside, lock and key, uh, the struggle was real. I used to get 50 rupees per day. My parents didn't believe that I'm clean and sober and struggling every day, meeting these people who helped me in my initial recovery, initial days. They still do. I was getting 50 rupees per day allowance, and my parents thought, my family, my neighbors thought I would use again. But things started changing. First 1 or 2 years has been hard. Like if I'm walking down the street from my neighborhood, okay, this guy used to be junkie. I think he uses occasionally. I don't do it every day because there is no stealing happening from my neighborhood. I was not stealing from my home. I was not consciously not lying at my place. Things started getting better. It took me 5 to 6 years just to make the society realize that yes, I am clean, I'm not using. A guy like me with tattoos and everything, I don't drink, not even beer. It's been hard, but what I know, if I start using again, it's a very cunning baffling disease. So in recovery, I have to constantly push myself to become a better version of myself from yesterday. That doesn't, I'm not telling you a sinner to saint story out here. If I'm in a relationship, I landed up cheating. There is, I'm a human being too. I lie. But the idea is to become a better version of yourself from yesterday. And the struggle is real every day. It's been 11 years. The last drug that I had, I last got high on 22nd Jan 2008. Since that day, I haven't had a drop of beer or any mood altering substance in my body. That doesn't mean that I don't get sad, I don't get depressed. Everybody is struggling through their life, but it's just that I made that conscious effort of believing those people who helped me to stay clean. They are not my blood related family members, they are not my close friends. These are the friends that I found in my process of recovery. And we constantly, it's a worldwide fellowship. I'm a 12 stepper. There are 12 steps that I follow. It's not an easy job that I would think I would stay clean and I would stay clean just like that. There are constant efforts that I need to put in everyday life, in everyday affairs, with all my integrated honesty, open mindedness, and willingness. I wasn't honest to myself, I was constantly lying to myself. But in the process of recovery, I realized who I am. You see an actor, I see an addict when I look into the mirror. So life has become tough, life has become easy at the same point of time. I was thinking um, things would get better, everyday struggle, but the coping skill that the 12 step program has given me, it has given me hope that if I don't use it today, I'll see a better tomorrow.